Come, let us explore the 19th passage of the Great Garuda in Flight, a Dzogchen classic. A bit of context. The Great Garuda of Flight is one of the 5 early translations of Fri Vajra's 8aug25, attributed to Varochana Rakshita. This was translated into English by Mihai Aderbach, adapted by yours truly. Fri Vajra was a great Buddhist reformer who lived in Udayana, which is present-day Pakistan, specifically the Swat Valley. Together, let us relaxingly recite. The teaching, the expanse, the observation, and the appearance are like scenes created by a magician. By obscuring the manifestation of the pristine awareness, they lead to a further rebirth. So I'm going to see if this still fits on the page. It appears to. So for this to make sense, we have to review the meaning of the phrase pristine awareness. Pristine awareness is one of many nicknames for mindfulness and meditation. So I'd like to review the foundation with you so that this passage might make more sense. Going to tap button 9. What if mindfulness or awareness was simply a fancy way of saying noticing? There's much confusion surrounding mindfulness and meditation, but I find that confusion is cleared up when we examine the subject through the lens of neuroscience. Every time we inhale, we have evolved to automatically access the sympathetic aspect of our autonomic nervous system, ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception, emotion, intention, cognition, recollection, and imagination. Because we are practicing vulnerably and passively, we do not pick and choose what to notice. We notice whatever pops up, like a child playing whack-a-mole at Chuck E. Cheese. And thus we observe all manner of phenomena, from the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. But what do we do with that which we noticed? That brings us to the subject of meditation. Every time we exhale, whether we have evolved to automatically access the parasympathetic aspect of our autonomic nervous system, divided between the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system supports our physical relaxation and mental release to such a degree that that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and even less defining. Figuratively, that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could at least to some degree feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. And like any other simile, its meaning is directly proportional to its relevance, to its relatability. We therefore have to ask the question, what is a real-world example of a non-graspable vast empty void? How about the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand? Now that we have some context, let's go back to this morning's text. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever instructions I have given you could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever text we have read from or heard explained could feel as non-graspable as a vast empty void. And as we relax into our exhalation, even the experience of vastness and voidness and emptiness itself could also feel non-graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever freedom we experienced from the trap of concentration. Concentration is claustrophobic. It is antithetical to our peripheral vision, forcing us into foveal vision, both literal and figurative, wherein the entire world is compressed to a single point, at least momentarily. But in mindfulness, the opposite happens. And we open wide our doors of perception. We become vulnerable to the infinite number of sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like. And we become vulnerable also to the infinite array of things we can notice internally. Our emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, and imaginations. We might experience this as the opposite of single-pointedness. We might nickname that as the vast expanse of being completely vulnerable. Many, many years ago, I ordered a book from Amazon on the subject of Dzogchen, and it was titled Naked Awareness. And my first thought upon reading the title was, oh boy, here comes naughty, naughty tantric sex. And imagine my disappointment when I learned that naked awareness was simply a metaphor for the vulnerability we exercise automatically during each inhalation. And so as we relax into our exhalation, even that vast expanse feels as non-graspable as the sky. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever object we observed could feel less graspable. As we relax into our exhalation, even the act of observing could feel as non-graspable as an illusion created by a stage magician performing perhaps in Las Vegas. And so the task before us is simple: to notice and relax. Now, the most efficient way for us to notice and relax is for us to silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this each time we feel air enter our nostrils, and then to silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease each time we feel air exit our nostrils. No matter what we perceive, no matter what we notice, if we indulge our rigid, or fearful, or superstitious, or controlling tendencies, and try to concentrate upon all that we notice during our inhalation, or try to analyze upon all that we notice during our previous inhalation, we wind up forgetting about the pristine awareness. Why is that? Well, it boils back down to neurology. It is the medial prefrontal cortex that makes focus possible. It is the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex that makes analysis possible. And like the many paints found upon the palette of an artist, our job is not to use all the colors. Our job is to create a painting. And so our job is not to exhaust all the paint in the tubes, but to use the paints as needed. When we overuse, when we abuse this region of our brain, we exhaust our prefrontal cortex, thus making us vulnerable to the symptoms of depression and the triggering of our amygdala, which functions as the seat of both anxiety and aggression. However, when instead of over-focusing, we content ourselves to merely notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly, in harmony with our sympathetic nervous system. When instead of overanalyzing, we relax in harmony with our exhalation, in harmony with our parasympathetic nervous system, we calm our amygdala and gently stimulate our anterior cingulate gyrus, which functions as the hub of our mirror neurons, the seat of empathy, the root of both compassion and love. Or in other words, it is empathy that transforms our avarice into love and our aversion into compassion. With every breath, we have a choice. Do we passively cooperate with our autonomic nervous system that the ancients refer to as our Buddha nature, or do we actively compete against it? And towards that, a warning is issued in the final portion of this morning's text. By obscuring the manifestation of pristine awareness, they lead to a further rebirth. So we can practice in a way that makes us that liberates us from the tyranny of our survival instincts. Our survival instincts are great tools, but if they become our default mode, life becomes very, very unfulfilling. And we become described or defined by anxiety and aggression and competitiveness. When we make our practice of mindfulness and meditation, even as little as 5 minutes every 12 hours or so, a facet of our lifestyle, then we are defined by empathy and cooperation and peace. That is the freedom that the Buddha offers us. Some people indulge their fear and superstition, and they squander their lives preparing for their next rebirth, if there is such a thing. The Buddha taught that the most efficient way to take an auspicious rebirth is to simply train in loving kindness. What is the most efficient way to train in loving kindness? Simply by practicing pristine awareness, simply by practicing meditation and mindfulness. For that calms our amygdala and gently stimulates our anterior cingulate gyrus. The highest love is the spontaneous and uncontrived fringe benefit of simply noticing and relaxing in harmony with our breath. It is the key that unlocks the door to our self-imposed prison. The door that opens up, metaphorically, to the vast expanse of peace and love. That is the liberation that the Buddha offers us. Be he real or be he merely archetypical. Having completed our opening lesson, we could now shift gears. It is Luke Skywalker Friday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. After about 30 seconds of housekeeping, this is the Dzogchen Semde Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I could become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this morning's live stream, we could play with the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. So we could practice this mindfulness and meditation while lying down, while briskly walking around the block, or simply while sitting as sustainably as we can. By implementing the instructions found in the free meditation manual that you could access by using one of the links in the description area below the video. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions approximately once every 13 minutes or so. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.